Lesson number one, my country people, talk waiting. Listen, whether or not you accept, my country people is a force to reckon with. Me, I agree. He's an enemy that is strong. So we got to be technical to what they do. We thank my country people for this wonderful job. Now, we'll go ahead.
My country people, them. The person we wanna see on the screen, he named Cornelius Ibeze, when a businessman for Bamenda, it is sell spare parts them for Okada. But also, now he print and distribute the receipts them for so-called liberation tax for the Ambazonia Defense Forces, the ADF terrorist gang inside Bamenda.
Okay, bro. Now that receive them, they never can take them. And anytime from now, I go travel. I'll travel. They will come. They know see me. And you know, say that you are not feeling for picking. So if you talk about them, can take before I want to travel, you better. Okay, bro. I don't hear.
When I don't hear your conversation with JC, I talk with JC using this telephone number 6777 40597. And if when I try to send money for that number using mobile money, your name it will come up. So the good news now say we don't compromise JC since the 16th of February 2025, and this man Cornelius Ibeze, he don't also be arrested weeks ago. But the Nigerian community, the business people inside Bamenda, they don't raise some money, say they go see state council for try for bailing out or for release because say they believe say Cameroon will be that corrupt. But we, the black legs, the country people them, we put everything out to the public so that it not will be possible for them to go bribe any person for make it come out. These people, they be responsible for the hundreds, if not thousands of people the way they don't kill them inside Bamenda. They do their business, they make their money. Thousands of other people the way they be denied for do business with the Ambazonia terrorists. They will be forced for pack out of Bamenda because they no one for support terrorism. So no give me that excuse say you be the doing because you no get choice. You had a choice. Other people they didn't get the same choice for Shidon for Bamenda and work with the Ambazonia terrorists. They be pack come up for midnight. They don't know the direction where they go. Now the option that way they be get them. You too you be get the option for pack come out than for Shidon they work with Ambazonia terrorists. If you Shidon you collaborate, you sponsor, facilitate the Ambazonia terrorism. Consequence a good day. And now the reason this way I bring on all this evidence because when I just hear say they don't arrest Mr. Cornelius Ibeze, you go start to wonder say now what it don't happen. And because the Cameroon government they don't see them the need or the value for communicate what really happen to the general public so that many people they understand. So now all man they just can't form their own story, they talk and they go and some people they believe them. Now why that way I bring on the evidence, the truth. Show una the conversation, your telephone number. I give evidence with what way at the talk. When I don't hear your voice, when I see your picture, when I hear the content of what way it discuss with Shidno Wiblas, known murderer and terrorist, Fonny Christopher, so-called General JC. So it talks, they can collect the receipts. Now the so-called liberation tax receipts and that. So any other person where they work with the Ambazonia terrorists, they will catch you, you go suffer the same consequences. Because we know the romance with Ambazonia terrorism. We need the dialogue, we need to negotiate with them. The only time where we talk to them or negotiate, now when we will negotiate for them for surrender. If they no one for surrender, we compromise them to wear their body in public. Simple as that. So, without me, when I know for know this story, when I know for know what really happened, when I know for know why they arrest you, when I know for even know if tomorrow they release you. But now the reality is, and no person, enough you can't deny the information, I don't put them out because it comes with evidence. I don't care whether you believe me or not. I know be pastor, I know be reverend father, I know they preach for church. I don't care about your belief system. So I present to you evidence where you go examine them for yourself and then you make up your mind based on the information where I provide them with evidence so that you be informed in your decision making. I know they talk propaganda, my country with them. So now just one of the people in this way, they don't arrest them and when I know the reason why they arrest them. Now I hope say it don't make them it be clear for una for understand why this kind of people them. One day when I there for cartier with them, the next day when I just hear say they await trial, they don't arrest them, they there for gendarmerie, they there for police, they are waiting trial, they don't take them go Yaoundé, all of those things them. This is the reason why. Now because of the wickedness for what people them, where they turn, they see how they kill other Anglophone Cameroonians them, and they turn a blind eye and they continue to do their business, they benefit their individual selves them. They don't care about the rest of the people the way they kill them. That wickedness, it go end. Whether you like them or not, it go end. And we are doing everything in our power for make sure say, make we stop them, my country people them. Today, na number 8 day for June 2025, we are bringing on this presentation.
A conflict is raging in Cameroon, one the outside world barely knows exists. It's primarily a battle between Cameroon security forces and armed separatists in the country's two English-speaking regions. A conflict that, in 8 years, has killed over 6,000 and forced hundreds of thousands from their homes. A conflict that has subjected Anglophones like myself to property destruction, unlawful killings, rapes, adoptions, and much more. Both the Cameroonian authorities and armed Anglophone separatist groups have fought hard to silence journalists in their reporting.
Working on this story is a risk, but I believe it's a risk worth taking to show what people in my country are going through and the price they are having to pay.
A conflict which is known as the Anglophone crisis has been ravaging my land for almost a decade, and funerals such as this have become all too common in this part of Cameroon. The unrest started in 2016 when people began protesting against the conditions facing the Anglophone minority in this Francophone-dominated country. Since then, it has developed into an all-out conflict, and its impact on ordinary people across the region has been devastating. Today is John Timabia's funeral, a government civil servant. While on a work trip in the Anglophone Southwest, Johnson and 5 other colleagues were captured by armed separatists fighting for the independence of Cameroon's two English-speaking regions.
I was calling his line, the thing was ringing but he wasn't picking. About 10 minutes later, I received a phone call from him. Before he could even say something, they took the phone and then the person he was talking said, "Madam, we need 35 million. If we don't send the money within 24 hours, we'll kill your husband."
35 million Central African francs, about $56,000, is an impossible sum for most here. Whilst attempting to raise money, Dora received a call from a relative of her husband.
He said in the dialect, "Madam, Kubaba Nasiel, Johnson Nasiel, meaning I should take care of the children, that my husband is no more." I didn't even know what to do. I was just shouting with him. Tuesday he was traveling, he was kidnapped. Friday he was killed.
Johnson, an Anglophone himself, was not just murdered, but decapitated, his body left on the road. The relatives of the other 5 who were kidnapped have no idea where their loved ones are. Peace. It feels like such a distant memory here. An estimated 5 million Anglophone Cameroonians, about 1/5 of the population, have been dragged into this crisis, caught in the crossfire between Cameroon security forces and the armed separatists. The exact number of separatist fighters is unknown, but it's estimated to be somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000. As the conflict rages, many have no choice but to flee. This includes me and my family. In January 2019, we were forced to leave our home in Nkunda, in the southwest of Cameroon.
We used to wake up in the morning to dead bodies on the streets, or you hear that a house has been set ablaze, or you hear that someone was kidnapped, people's body parts chopped off. How do you live in a city where every single morning you're worried if your relatives are safe? It was very difficult. It was very difficult to stay in Nkunda.
The conflict that is plaguing the country along its linguistic lines can be traced back to colonialism. Under colonial rule, the region that we today mostly call Cameroon was split in two, with two Anglophone regions, North and South, administered by Britain, and a French territory governed from Paris. In 1961, as independence approached for the Cameroonian territories under British rule, Northern Cameroon voted to join Nigeria, while Southern Cameroonians joined Cameroon. The country began as a federation, but in 1972, it became a unitary state. Since then, Anglophones have felt marginalized by the centralized Francophone government, and in late 2016, peaceful protests began against the creeping use of the Francophone legal system in the region's courtrooms.
It is more than a month that we have been on strike after having notified the government about dissatisfaction with the election of the governor.
I sat down to talk with Barrister Agbonkumo, who was one of the English-speaking lawyers leading the protest at the time. Anger was building at the fact that the government was sending fresh educated civil law judges who do not understand English common law to their courts.
We felt that because of the bijural nature, the bilingual nature, the history of this country, where two systems had to coexist, there was a need for lawyers to rise up, to raise their voices against this encroachment into the common law.
Teachers and students will soon join the lawyers in calling for an end to the marginalization of the Anglophone minority. These political demands led to demonstrations and, eventually, protesters launched Operation Ghost Towns. Strikes where for several days each week, shops and institutions closed their doors.
We started by writing to the government, which failed to respond. We called for boycotts of courts, we called for school boycotts, but it was peaceful and civil. At no point in time did we advocate for violence.
But Cameroon's government responded with force to the protest, and violence is what followed. Beatings, intimidations, and mass arrests. A disproportionate and deadly use of violence by the Cameroonian security forces, in the words of the African Union's Commission on Human Rights. While all this was unfolding, I went out to speak with people in the streets of my hometown.
The government of our country, they don't have a listening ear to those who are raising issues that are burning in their hearts. Up to this moment we're talking, our head of state has not yet made a statement. He rather sent a drop of military forces to go and be rough-handling peaceful demonstrators. They are preparing for war and not for peace.
As the weeks went by, these words, preparing for war, not for peace, kept ringing in my ears. In the first months of the protest, at least 4 peaceful protesters were killed by security forces. Hundreds were arrested, including Agbonkumo, who was held under anti-terrorism laws. And, in an attempt to quash anti-government criticism, the internet was cut off. This also had direct repercussions on me and my work as a journalist. I recorded my experience at the time.
Hello to everyone, my name is Blessed. Today is 12 March 2017. It's 2 months since the internet was disconnected. As a reporter, it is really affecting me.
I filmed myself on my way to Douala, in Francophone Cameroon, where I could access the internet. I wanted to document the 7-hour round trip that I was having to make just to let the world know what was happening in my region.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
The shutdown lasted 93 days. The government's violence in responding to the protests hardened the views of those in the country's 2 Anglophone regions. It was after these acts of violence that armed separatist groups were formed, and in late 2017, as tensions escalated, Anglophone separatist leaders declared independence of what they call the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Internationally, this declaration went largely unnoticed. In Cameroon, however, from this point on, conflict raged. I head out into the English-speaking regions to meet with some of those who carry the burden of this crisis, the Anglophone population. It's a journey I've made countless times over the 8 years I've spent on this film, and it remains a dangerous one. Journalists are a target, both for the separatists and the army. Neither side wants the world to know what's really happening in the region. But I won't let this intimidate me.
I share my picture only that thing will happen. When I sleep, you sure say I don't die now. I believe say I don't die.
Jato was on his way to work when he was attacked by a group of armed separatists.
Just on now, we were gone. Say my drop my phone for down. And the day now, me I get to die.
Jato works for CDC, Cameroon's second largest employer. He runs plantations in the Anglophone Southwest and is controlled by the state, making it a target for the separatists.
There is only this government to take the money, buy a gun, they can shoot them. We only continue for work. So for that reason, we think that it will like kill me with the stop. I want you to see free collars and I wake up smart and jump so the college put my event for here to pass. I want you to make my hands so I'll say what it be the problem. You cut my you see me in my hand and down.
Jato miraculously managed to escape, but unfortunately, he's not alone in what he experienced. Since the armed insurgency, separatist groups have attacked dozens of CDC workers like him in an effort to bring the government and the economy to its knees. But that's not all.
No school, Miss Ambazonia. No school starting Cameroon.
For years now, the separatists have tried to enforce a ban on education, which is viewed by them as a mouthpiece for government propaganda.
No school in the open.
In October 2020, the school in my hometown was attacked. Unidentified men, armed with guns and machetes, killed at least 7 children. No one claimed responsibility for the atrocity, but the government blamed the separatists. The attack was so shocking that it sparked outrage internationally, not just here in Cameroon. And it left me feeling completely hopeless.
Nearly half of the schools in this region have been shut. It's scary. It's so scary. A whole generation of kids is missing out on their education. And imagine the impact this will have for our communities and also for our country.
Our dream of peace feels more distant than ever.
To the 29th of January 2024. We don't come again.
The forces terrorizing the population, mainly funded through the Cameroonian diaspora, have many names. Some call them rebels, others terrorists, or simply Amber Boys. There are various groups, some more organized than others, and power struggles have become common between them. But what connects them all is that their actions have become increasingly brutal. This video was filmed in October 2023 in a town called Guzan. Widely shared on social media, it shows separatists mercilessly killing 2 unarmed men who were accused of collaborating with the Cameroonian government. It's hard for me to make sense of this kind of horrific brutality carried out by my own countrymen. Barrister Bonkumo, who in August 2017 was freed after 8 months in prison, tells me how perceptions of the separatists have changed since the beginning of the conflict.
There was a time in my estimation where most people felt that they needed security, they would go to separatists. But over the last 2 years, I don't think any reasonable person would think that the separatists will be the ones to protect them. Some of the Anglophiles have become so radicalized and a bit cut off from reality in a way that it's separation or nothing. So everybody should die for us to have independence. And I ask the question, if everybody dies and you have independence, who are you going to govern? There was a time when we, the Anglophones, clamoring for change at the moral high ground, wherein atrocities was committed by one party, the state. But after a while, both the separatists and the government, they've committed heinous crimes,
With the separatist commitment to fighting for an independent Ambazonia, regardless of the cost, the government has also doubled down on its own use of violence. Burning villages, like in this video, raping women, torture, unlawful arrest, and extrajudicial killings. The cycle of violence seems endless.
They brought out a pistol gun inside with bullets, insinuating that my brother and I were keeping those weapons.
John, along with a close friend, a brother, was taken into custody by a group of military security forces and accused of buying weapons for the separatists.
Did you have guns? Of course no, sir. There was no gun in the house.
Whilst this was going on, John says the security forces attempted to force him and his friend into signing a document without being given the chance to read it.
When we refused to sign those documents, that is when they separated us into different groups and started torturing us. They tortured him. You could just hear them flogging everywhere. I could just imagine how they were doing because that was the same thing they were doing on me. I could feel it on my own body. They beat me everywhere. Then he was screaming, and later on you could just hear him just making. Later they told me he had accepted and signed and they allowed him to go.
But that wasn't the truth. About a month after John's arrest, another man was placed in a cell.
That is the day I heard about my brother's death.
His friend had never made it out of the room he had been held and tortured in. He died in there. Months later, John's case was dropped by the authorities and he was released without charge.
Up to today, I don't really know who is after me or what exactly they really want. I just live in fear because I don't know where to start from, where is safe to start from, and how to start.
It pains me to think of how many people must be living in fear as the violence on both sides goes unchecked. Back in Nkunda, my hometown, the cross was paraded in front of a busy crowd. The special forces wanted everyone to know that the separatist leader, Oliver Lekeke, known as Field Marshal, was there. So they put his body on public display. Authorities feel that the balance of power in the conflict has changed and they want people to see. But some have a different opinion.
The death of Field Marshal will not change the situation. Killing general or not killing general, killing innocent civilians or not killing burning houses is not the solution. If you use the use of force, you are just exacerbating the situation. It's a non-starter, you should stop it. The way out is to sit down and talk.
As if the violence between government forces and the various separatist groups was not enough, militant groups have sprung up to fight the separatists in the name of a united Cameroon. I joined one of these groups as they patrolled the streets of Boya in search of separatists. The leader of this group, John Iwomi, known as Moja Moja, is feared by many in town. He has taken it upon himself to counter separatist attacks in his own way.
Can you tell us who are some of the people you look for when you do patrol?
I look for, first of all, the Ambazonians. I look for thieves. and also informants. We have people that are not in the bushes, but they are here to give information to the Ambazonians. They are worse than the Ambazonians. But we struggle to hand him over to the forces of law and order for investigation. We don't kill them.
I stand up to you with the time. Stop noise. When you look at me, give me my name.
Although Moja denies killing anybody, there is evidence of him publicly humiliating and torturing unarmed civilians he considered to be separatist fighters or their supporters. Videos like this one, where he is pushing a man into the trunk of a car. I put this to him.
We've seen videos on social media accusing you that you're targeting a civilian. What's your response to that?
I've never laid my hands with any civilian, just the Ambazonia. Yeah, and I believe the gods of this land are with me.
Moja's unrepentant brutality shows how far the country has descended into lawlessness.
You can fight the separatists. You can fight against some of the ills that they commit. But you don't fight the ills that they commit by committing ills. I think also the state of Cameroon is guilty of acquiescing to what Moja is doing, in what they have done or in what they have failed to do in one way or another. They have emboldened him in such a way that he feels he's above the law.
In an attempt to restore the peace, there have been a number of national and international mediation efforts. In 2019, the government held what is described as a major national dialogue around the crisis. But although the talks established a special status for the country's two Anglophone regions, acknowledging their unique history, in practical terms, very little was resolved. The government still held veto powers over any decisions made in the English-speaking regions, leaving many Anglophones feeling frustrated. As the armed clashes between government forces and separatist groups continue, news arrives that a mass grave has been found. These were Johnson Mabia's colleagues, the civil servant whose funeral we witnessed at the beginning of this film. At least now, their families may be able to find some peace.
Even in the animal kingdom, animals do not kill themselves nor eat themselves. They don't have souls, but we have souls that created the image of God. Now we kill ourselves and even eat ourselves. In the face of this pain, who will be the next? In the face of this carnage and suffering, what kind of nation are we hoping to be? What kind of nation do we want to be?
What was first limited to government officials like Johnson Mabia and those openly against the separatists, abductions are now widespread. And they have become one of the main ways for separatist fighters to establish control and to cash in.
I walked into the house and I found my children and my wife on the floor while the commander was sitting on my kitchen with his gun very close. All around me, my neighbor had been taken. My landlord had been taken. So when I saw them, I knew it was my turn. They gave me a bill of 5 million. Which I could not meet up, and they said that I would have to go with them. My crime was that my wife was a teacher, and myself I worked for a French company, and my children were going to school.
Joe was abducted and taken to a camp deep in the forest with 15 other captives.
2 days after, 2 were killed in front of us. Death was new, but as God would have it, I survived it.
After 19 days, the Cameroonian military discovered the camp and Joe was freed. Johnson Mabia wasn't as lucky. His widow tells us what she has been through since.
That won't be easy. Because in my house, I'm like a father, like a mother, not only to my kids, but to my parents. It's really aching. I have debts I have to settle. I don't even know how to settle. I thought of selling my body for money. And then I look at the shame that will come after. I just had to swallow the difficulty and then push forward. I was very young to become a widow.
After almost a decade of fighting, there is no end in sight to this crisis.
I've been reporting on this story since the beginning. I have seen so much horror, so much pain, so many innocent people hurt, so many people killed. It's really devastating.
What hope can there be for our children in a country where senseless violence rages and the perpetrators go unpunished?